Hey, guys. Good to see you. Well, this is going to be fun. All of these people up here are really, really having some remarkable growth. Really, really proud of you guys. You are... Many of the people that the team is looking at, and it's increasing the belief of the entire organization, along with Frank and Cad, Matt and Vanessa, and you guys. You're a big piece of it. So we're super proud of you. And the topic of the talk is the quiet grind and the loud result. And we talked on the phone. We talked a little bit out in the hall. What was the difference between you guys versus other people that quit? Why did you guys stick with it? Why did you stay committed to it? And all of you will have a little bit of a different answer, and that's exactly what I want the audience to hear. Take your time, and obviously we have a bunch more questions that we totally will not get through, because we'll probably get through 2 questions when a panel is this big. You don't have time to go through a lot of questions, but the main theme of it is really like, why did you guys keep going when most people don't? And let's talk about that a little bit. So let's start off with you guys.
Thanks, Tony. First off, we're so grateful and humbled to be part of this amazing panel. We are Jared and Julianne Green, working with Mel and Amy Sim and Vinny and Dana Papalardo. Huge privilege, thank God, first and foremost. For us, I think it's just a stubbornness. I was talking to your dad 2 days ago. I was like, I wish I wasn't so stubborn. He's like, that's exactly why you're doing what you're doing. Yep. And he talked about you. He said, Tony is the same way. He's stubborn.
Very stubborn.
Kids are the same. And when we met your parents, we just fell in love with them. And I did not want to be anywhere else but here. And kind of like what Matt and Vanessa said, I just want to earn the respect from the people that we love and respect and appreciate the most. And not only that, I personally wanted to prove to myself and everybody else who said no that this is worth it.
Yep. Well, another point to that, with my parents, you saw that they were all in.
All in.
Was there ever a question about that?
Never.
No. Well, I mean, and I'll say, honestly, it wasn't the moment I met your parents, because the first time I met Vinny is when he challenged me to get married to Juliet, which was 100% right. But it was over time how both Vinny and Dana have continuously served us and poured so much of their time into helping us. It's like, well, how am I going to repay that? So we had to keep going no matter what, and we're still going.
Well, I think it's a big point, because a lot of people... What happens is they get jaded, they get negative. One of the things that I've heard from small pins, big pins throughout the course of my business is they'll say, well, I've been doing this so long and I should be here, or I should have done this by now, or I delayed this and I'm not. And it's like, well, that's the problem, is that you had this false expectation based around a lot of times people are perceiving that they're doing the work to actually go, whether it be platinum, emerald, or diamond, and they're really not.
Yeah.
Right.
And then they look for somebody to blame, and they typically blame the business, they blame the upline. My parents had every excuse to not build the business in regards to their upline, in regards to their financial challenges. Or you could look at it and go, well, no, this is the exact reason why we are going to build the business.
Yeah,
right.
Totally.
And they've just never wanted to do anything different, and I've never wanted to do anything different. Yeah. And each one of their uplines, I talked to them all separately, saw the same thing. Now, if your upline's not like that, don't make that the excuse. Because there's an upline, I don't care if you have to go all the way up to my parents, they're all in. And I think that's the big difference, is you didn't have to question anything as to where your upline was going. Yeah. So if your upline's not all in, that's okay. We're all in.
Yeah.
So we took that excuse off the table for you.
Yeah.
So what do you guys?
Chris and Victoria Farage. We just want to thank the leadership for giving us this opportunity to be up here. But I mean, yeah, for us, I mean, we got into this business as two dumb kids. We were 18 and 19. And, you know, I look at where we are now and everything Dennis and Danielle have done for us. I think I'd be able to quit on myself, but I can't quit on them. And I think that is the driving force of, you know, why we're here and why we're doing what we're doing. And it's the easiest way we can repay them for everything they've done for us. And I truly believe that, you know, our shift in our attitude and the way we do things really like helps propel us forward, and knowing that like this is what we are meant to do. And
Yeah. Sweet. I'm still the dumb kid. Victoria grew up. Yeah. And I just got to say, like, this is the first time I think we've ever spoken on a stage.
Is it?
I've wanted this for so long.
Oh, that's awesome.
It's an honor.
There we
You
go.
guys are funny. And I'm not like peeing on my leg or anything when I'm around you. That's great.
No,
You know?
you're great. You're
man.
doing a great job with everything.
Yeah. So, I mean, we weren't. First of all, when I first came in a room like this, I saw how many people got around you and Dennis and Vinny, and I was like, man, they must be the bosses. But as I stuck around, I started to realize you guys were the leaders, and I had never felt or experienced it, like actually seen it happen and play out in real life, how people can lead other people at that large of a size.
Yeah.
I wanted that. You know, then start learning more about Amway, and it's like it's such a clean opportunity. The business model's transparent, everything's so straightforward, leaves no questions. You know, I mean, how long? I'll give a quick question for everybody here. You know, how long at your job did you need to stay before you started finding all the things that were wrong with it? No, seriously, it's not a joke. I haven't found many things ever wrong with Amway. You know, and I'm not saying they're perfect. Nothing's perfect. Our AP approved the Legacy Leadership Collective that we work with. They've always led us. I've never felt like, man, I didn't like that. I didn't like how you guys handled or did that. And I wanted to be leaders like you guys, you know? So where else were we gonna find that? Dennis knows. You could ask him, we bring him up quick, we don't have to, but I had like probably 15 jobs before we went platinum.
Yeah.
But, and I'm not saying to do that either. Like, I knew who I wanted to follow.
Yeah.
And I knew where we were going. I knew what the end picture was going to be, as we wanted to live a life like you guys. And what better way? I mean, between Amway's opportunity and with you guys as education leaders, like this is where we wanted to be. You know, so I'll pass it off to you guys.
Well, a big piece to that too is I see a lot of people, and I've been talking about this quite a bit lately. A lot of times people, you just kept coming around. All of you all had a great attitude. And I think a lot of people, what they do is their attitude shifts. They start getting negative, and I alluded to that a little bit. But another really, really big piece to it is they stop believing that they're actually going to get results. They start projecting, like they're sitting with somebody and they're saying one thing, but their body
Saying another.
is saying another thing. Mm-hmm. And it's almost like they're expecting him not to get in, or they're expecting him to quit. And it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, and they kind of just go in this downward spiral. You guys never did that. Why?
I think one of the best things we learned from leaders like you guys was to always focus on the new person. Mm-hmm. They're always so excited. They see the opportunity in the most raw form, you know, and that's when, you know, they want to run and hit the ground, right? So instead of sitting with people maybe, or working with people, or spending time with people, this is why coaching and guidance is really important with your coach, because it's easy to spend time with people who just sit too close to the tree for too long and they don't appreciate you anymore, you know? And it's hard to relay information and help understanding happen there in a relationship like that, you know? So we've always just looked to stay tight with the leadership, follow what you guys are doing, and focus on what's best for the new guy, and spend our time with the new people and apprentices coming in, getting into business.
Did you guys ever feel, we could ask this to Brian and Maria. Good job, Chris.
Yeah.
Did you ever feel anxious about you ever feel like, oh man, I'm not doing enough work? Anyone ever feel that way?
Yeah.
All right?
Yeah.
What do you do with those emotions?
For us, I mean, I think we just kept moving forward. Anxious is going to come, frustration is going to come, everything's going to come. So it doesn't matter how you look at it, it's how you pursue it, and that's what we did. And knowing even our challenges, going back to your first question, our challenges at the beginning, I thought the first 7 years I knew my husband. I thought that we connected well. I thought that we worked well together. And, in the business through Amway, it taught us everything. It taught us how to grow with each other, how to talk to each other, how to say things to each other where we're not triggering our effects, and learn to fall in love with each other every single day, all over again. And he is sexy.
You are, Brian.
Maybe number 7's coming up.
But you've come a really long way, because you've shifted where you stopped looking at Brian, you started focusing more on yourself, and it's not that Brian needed a lot of work; he still needs a lot of work, like we all do. All right, like we all do. But it was almost like you started to get lighter.
Yeah.
There used to be like a nervous energy when people would get around you.
Oh yeah, I was just like Vanessa. I wanted to hide in a corner.
Yeah.
My excuse was I wanted to observe. And my observe was my fear that I didn't want to talk to anybody. I didn't want nobody to approach me. I didn't want hugs or kisses. Don't touch me. Cooties and all that. No, I didn't. That's not what I wanted.
So that's not very inviting for a new person.
Yeah. They looked at me differently. They thought I was like, oh, she's such a capital. No.
Yeah?
That's not me. I'm like so lovable, but I wasn't showing it.
Well, exactly. Yeah. And I think that's a big piece. A lot of times when people get really nervous or anxious or what have you, what they end up doing, or they're going, oh, I'm not doing enough work, and they're getting like frustrated with it. The frustration, that feeling of like anxiety, that pit in your stomach, you could look at it as a negative, or you could look at it as a positive. Mm-hmm. It's a fear. And what it's telling you is, hey, you need to move forward and overcome it. And I talked to Emmy about this quite a bit, and she gets it at 8. One of the best things you could teach your children is how to, in a healthy way, press into that perceived fear so that they learn to overcome it. Because when they start, if that becomes a habit for them at a young age, and if that becomes a habit for you as IBOs, you'll go as far as you want in life. Because when you have that feeling, you know that you want it to be the habit where it's like, okay, I know what this feeling is. I know what I need to do. Yeah. I need to go take action. Laziness, the depression, all the different things. And guys, I've gone through a lot between the cancer and the medications and all the stuff that I was on. There's some really low lows that you could hit. And the thing that always helped me to work out of it, it wasn't looking at the mountaintop. It was looking at the next 5 to 10 steps. And that's what this business is. If you look at why we've laid out what we've laid out, it's to just take the next, not even 10 steps, it's to take the next step. And the question is what is the next step that you need to take? And then are you going to start taking that step consistently? And then are you going to move to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing? So anything you want to add to that, Brian?
Well, one of the things that I was also doing is I was a constant reminder to Maria of what she wasn't doing. And that went really, really well. Sarcastically, it's funny. We went away for New Year's. We took the kids to Disney. We spent some time down there. We were coming back last night, and there's some things we need to do and VCS to get things done. And she's like, "Thank you for not reminding me and just believing me that I would get it done, and how important that was." So I kind of sometimes had to take my head out of my you-know-what and realize that I have to give space, because we work together building a company during the day and here. And sometimes we had to realize how maybe demanding some things could be, and I had to give Maria space and room to grow. Another part, coming back to your original question as well, though, I had to think back. I remember times when Tony, through Jason Newell, through Lori Buck, and Jason, Lori, and Lori, we had made a new connection, because I was trying to make connection with Tony. I was in the business prior, And many years later, learned a lot, which helped us build our conventional company. But I wanted to connect with Tony, and that connection was made. And I remember Tony speaking to me when he had a hat on his head, no hair, out in the clinic out in Arizona. And he was just sharing belief when he had so much going on and didn't really know what was going on with his health. I remember conversations we'd have when at that time we were living in PA for a little while during COVID, and you'd be talking and it'd be probably 9 p.m. where you are and midnight here, and I'd be driving back, and some conversations we had. I remember one time that you were, I think for over 100 days you were in a clinic one time, and you had made a call to me, and we were talking, and I pieced that together that you were in there and called me. And those moments to watch the fighting, and not the fighting spirit, not the fighting, the fighting spirit. I remember hearing the story of when you were going through that surgery, and Vinny and Dana heard they had to get down, your dad had to get down there. And I never forget, my original business partner helped me get my traditional company started. He looked at me one day and he said, "Why the bleep did I spend 46 years of my life doing what I did?" And I looked at him. He made a lot of money. He sold his company for a lot of money. But he said to me, "Brian, I was at every single soccer game for my kids. I was at all the special moments, but I was there physically. I wasn't there mentally." And I grabbed the hold of that day and resonated with me. And when he said to me one day, which is what prompted me to get around Tony, "What do you want to do the rest of your life?" And it wasn't about the money, because he was putting more money in his pocket with the sale of his company. And he said, "You'll probably do the same thing. I can't guarantee you'll probably do the same thing." But he did. It wasn't about the money. It was about the peace of mind and the relationship I watched. It was when we actually came back in the business and we were invited over to Vinny and Dana's to a pool party, and you were not able to be there because you were in Arizona at the time. And when he walked in the door, and I hadn't seen Vinny and Dana in years, and I came to the door, and it was the Monaco pool party about going to the conference, and I said, "Hey, Dana, Brian," and she goes, "I know exactly who you are, Brian." She gave me the biggest hug, and I looked at Vin, he gave me a big hug, and I looked at Mike Monaco, and he said, "Brother, so glad to have you back," because I knew them from years ago when I wasn't part of their team. That was the bond that I said, that was the brotherhood and sisterhood that I wanted. Those are the people I wanted to be around. So it wasn't just the money, it was the community, it was the people.
Great job.
Well, so we're Johnny and Pam working with Marlon and Stephanie Mora. So answering your basically two questions, right? Yes, anxiety goes a lot. But we decided to put it to the side while we were going. We made this our plan A. We do have like high paying jobs. And either with that, we knew that if we made this plan A, no matter what, the results would come, right? And we had to say no to a lot of races, a lot of contracts that we get into my other business that I have, but just making sure, like, just doing the work. But most likely was working, like, to the cost, right? I've been with Marlon and Stephanie over 6 years, almost 7 years. And I was like, I'm looking at them as diamonds. Yeah. But before they go to diamond, like they have to have platinums. So who is going to be the platinum on their team that is going to just do the work with all the things that are going to come and just not looking at the results? And big part of that was the belief. Like when I did not have belief, or we did not have the belief, we're like, hey, coaches, like where we at or where you guys at? Let me just get your belief, or what's the cost? Let me just keep working towards that and just tie to that, because maybe I was a little bit low or we were a little bit low, and then just putting the same vision of the bigger team together.
Good job.
So yeah, I mean, that's essentially, I'm just gonna pivot off of that a little bit with everyone saying is this community has absolutely changed my life, right? This community has been something that changed us, not just financially, but also as where we started the single, we found each other through the business, and then obviously we started working together, and that transition also was epic, because we got to see how every couple up here would walk and they would look at each other. And you know, I started this business when I was 20, so looking at it, I'm like, that's what I want one day. You know, like it didn't have, my parents were awesome examples of a great relationship, but the finances weren't there. So I never really got to spend much time with them. So then coming here, seeing how everyone's talking about the vision, the dream, really speaking about setting up different dreams. I think one thing that really scared me at first was I allowed my circumstances to create my situation. And that I needed to realize that I needed to get past my current situation to, it doesn't matter what's happening now, it's what's going to happen soon. And that was something that we really locked in with Marlon and Steph. They were really always like extremely positive. It didn't matter what was going on. The communication was super needed because sometimes we would maybe try to quit on the same day. So we'd be like, hey, like, this is what we're thinking. This is what's going on in our lives. Like, what do you think? And that perspective made everything the difference. You know, and that was kind of what now we're starting to form a family. You know, like a lot of things started to really start to come together. So it wasn't that we knew what would happen, but we knew if we just put our heads down and just started to do the work without expecting an instantaneous result, we knew it would come later on anyways. It's like, you know, just kind of what we used to talk about, like, right, just giving people something, serving for a greater cause, not just for something for yourself, because then the results show up anyways. So that was something that we really started to focus on, that the attitude was the most important thing. Like, we just can't allow the results to deteriorate what we know is possible.
Good stuff. Good stuff. And things turn around for you guys. Your team went from 1,500 PV to 7,500 PV. And every single one of the couples up here, they did a lot of work with no results. Matt and Vanessa, same thing. Frank and Kat, same thing. That's the typical story. The outlier story is, hey, the guy, the girl, the couple got in and they went platinum. Maybe they had a good A-list, B-list. They're the outlier. The majority of people take a good year to literally just figure out what they're in, and then they take another year or so to just learn how to get results. Now, they may be in for a year or 30 years before they actually start the process of working consistently to then actually learn how to get results. Does that make sense? Frank and Kat were in the business for a long period of time, but they weren't in their own business. They were signed up on an application. Major difference. So when I look at them, I don't go, oh, they're in over 10 years. No, they're in like 2.5, 3 years now. It took them 2.5, 3 years to actually get to the point of whether they were going to start consistently doing the work to then learn how to get a result. And that's what most people don't understand. This business is like any other business, guys, in the outside world, except for a couple of things. This doesn't cost as much. Mm-hmm. And the other part is you have a support team and you actually do have a brotherhood and a sisterhood. When I work in the outside business world with investments and stuff like that, I invest in people's companies, but I don't want that to be my life. And that is strictly money. I'm not building culture. I'm not like, yeah, okay, you can build culture at a company. You could, yada, yada. I get all that. But here you build a life with people. That's the thing that I fell in love with. And I tell people all the time, it's not Amway. I love Amway. I'm appreciative of Amway. But what I really love is this team and how we build the business. And that's what makes the difference. So Sal, you were in the business, then you got out of the business, and then you came back. So what happened?
We were there, then now we're here. No. I just want to thank God, first of all, for being up here. And thank you, Vinny, Tony, all the leadership for having us here. This is a dream come true being up here with you, Tony, and all of you. We were in the business for 9 months back in 2020. We got in September 2020, my wife and I. And Katie, who's down in Tampa, holding it down. Thank you, babe. I love you. We quit after 9 months, not because we didn't believe in the business, because I wanted to pursue a career in professional MMA. I was super dedicated. It was something I was training at for years. I was doing really well, won a gold medal, national championship, all this stuff, and I was getting ready for my first pro fight, stuff like that. Ended up getting Lyme disease, kind of ruined things, but so I tried that, but then I got Lyme disease, it ruined the career, and then we got into a whole bunch of debt after we left the business because we tried all these get-rich-quick things after we left the business, right? So, and the thing is that when we were gone, our mentors never stopped treating us like we were family. They still invited us to things. They still came to stuff for us, with our family and things like that. And we just felt like this was truly different. And we never lost sight of the belief in the business. We always believed in the business. Even when I left to go do MMA full time, Katie and I never stopped believing in the business. We always knew that this was something we were going to come back to. It just didn't happen the way that we thought it would. But either way, we're just super grateful because this association is like no other. This is the absolute best place to be in the world. And that's saying something. I mean, there's 8 billion people in the world, and I'd rather be with every single one of you in here. And I know my wife says this, would believe the same thing. Because just today, I got to be in a house with Vinny. Vinny gave me time, and I got to sit in his office, and he just helped coach me through life and relationships and my marriage and all these different things. And it was one of the most impactful things for me ever. And then I helped him put some Christmas decor away as well. So, yeah. That was... Yeah, Dana loves when I come over. So, but then Tony showed up, and I played some guitar for Dennis's daughter because she's learning guitar, and I play guitar as well. So I just showed her some stuff, and it was just amazing. I left just being like, man, like this is just so different, and this is exactly everything that we believed it was, and it's because of the association. As the money's great, and material things are great, and all that stuff, but I mean, you just have to understand that this association, you have to fight for the association, because when you do that and you experience it like I did today and many other times, and just like Matt, and I mean, everybody, that's when you understand. That's when the business goes from your head to your heart. It's when you understand the power of the association, the people that are truly here to lift you up every single step of the way.
Yeah. That's really good. So I want you to kind of describe a little bit, and we have 11 minutes left, so kind of be a little brief. But describe kind of the breaking point for you guys where it was like you weren't getting results, and then all of a sudden you had a click. Now, typically, as you're growing, there's multiple clicks along the way. But just mention one or two major turning points in the course of your business. And what was it?
Start with me?
Yeah.
Okay. So honestly, I would say it was actually pretty early on when Katie and I first started our first 90-day core run, and it was going to a GE every other week in Tampa where we didn't have a lot of action going on, but Frank and Kat were crushing it, and Frank and Kat had guests every single week, and I was sitting there listening to them, just wishing that I had a guest. And then at the trainings, basically all I did was when I would hear Frank talk about the things he was doing, I was like, well, this guy's getting results. I need to just do what he does. And it was the example of my cross line that really motivated me to be like, I just got to go out there and do this thing. So, and Katie has believed in me every step of the way, and she holds it down at home. She does so much for our family, for our team. She is not just the glue to our team, but she's the glue to me. She keeps me together. And, yeah, she's always believed in me, and I'm gonna prove it to her.
Yeah, for us, we decided, okay, we were kind of stuck in the same position for some time. So we're going to just relaunch ourselves. We haven't really studied the GSR. If we're going to get people started right, we need to make sure that we know how to get ourselves started right again. So we then really kind of went back to the system. We're like, okay, you know what? We need to understand if we're going to get people started right, we're going to help build belief. We need to build belief in ourselves. So we really took that step for ourselves to restudy everything, to really go through everything, and then just kind of going back to the basics, something you talk about a lot, just going back to the basics. And that, to us, we kept hearing it over and over again. And the other thing that we always heard was your attitude is always super important. And we heard constantly, like, the attitude that you have behind closed doors will always show in light. So we were doing a lot of work, but we had such a terrible attitude behind closed doors, it didn't matter. We were just sowing poison, essentially, in what we were trying to grow. So we had to switch our words, we had to switch our attitude, we had to stop saying and talking negative behind closed doors and just start talking life, no matter where we went, being the same person everywhere. So that was something that was really big for us. Good job.
Yeah. Something that we saw on the business side, like that we took that decision. So Johnny got a trip for his job to go to Cabo, and he landed exactly on the days of last hybrid conference. So we had two options. Either we can go to Cabo and see the conference there, or we can come here and show up for ourselves in our future. And I remember, like, I cheered with him, like, okay, we're going to Cabo. And when we find out the dates, it's like what we should do. And the call that we give to Marlon and Stephanie were like, hey, listen, this is happening, but the decision is made that, We can go to Cabo one time, but if we can build this business if we build this business and locked in, and not just one time for a company. So I wish
Good job. Look, those are the big decisions that you're going to make, and that's the story you get to tell for the rest of your life in the business. So good job. We're just moving quick because we got 7 minutes left.
2 moments. A gentleman by the name of Danny Snipes in LTD, he said, I remember him building for 4.5 plus years, if I remember correctly, and he wasn't reading and listening from when he told the story. 4.5 years later, he started reading and listening. That hit me one day because I realized I enjoyed doing the work and not meeting the people, but I wasn't reading and listening enough, number one. Number two, Tony said, we have to look at we only know what we're doing or not doing, so we have to look at that and observe that and discuss it so we can look at the things that we're making mistakes in and work on fixing them. And I remember talking to Matt, Vanessa, and Frank Cat about that. They did the same thing. Matt said that Vanessa and I would talk all the time about what we can be doing to improve upon our business. I know Frank Cat said the same thing to us.
I think my turning point was I was having a conversation with Dana, and I was actually complaining to her about my husband and saying, well, I was saying, like, my husband's doing this, my husband's doing that. And she had mentioned to me, she was like, I hear everything that your husband's doing, but what are you doing? And that was my turning point where I said, you know what, that's got to change. I can't keep complaining about my husband doing all the work and me complaining about him. Then I have to pursue what he's doing too.
Yeah.
Amen.
That's good.
Maybe I don't know if it's a turning point, but a realization that I had, that just helped us, or what we had and we've talked about, but helped us to kind of take it to that next level, was we were trying to be someone we weren't, and we needed to realize, you guys spent time stewarding us, investing time and resources into us. The amount of time Dennis and Danielle have given to us and our team, the memories we've created, we would never back out now, right? And to us, making a commitment is we're not going back on our word. Vinny always said that your word is your worth and your worth is your word. And not that we want to go back on our word. We don't. This is where we want to be. For all you young people in here, and not that you have to be older to not hear this, but the youngins, if you're here for your first conference, you're an apprentice, you're a new apprentice, you're wondering, you're kind of on the fence, this is a great place to get deep rooted. The relationships you could build, we never would have friends like you guys in our life, but we're friends, and we get to make connections with so many other people. The cross-line buddies, I know there's new 3-6s on the Marin team, Tony and Jeremy. We're super proud of you guys holding it down in South Carolina, but that's why we do it. Yeah. We love the team, and we're not going anywhere, so. Guys.
Just real quick, a more recent turning point for me was when I was pregnant with the twins. I remember it was at a leadership meeting, and Vinny looked at me and he said, this pregnancy is either going to make you or break you. And I was like, well, I'm definitely not breaking, and I'm going to pull through, and I'm going to attend, and I'm going to pull through. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Good stuff.
Well, but those are the commitments that you guys made. And when you make commitments like that as a couple, your belief goes up. And when you sit down and talk to people, they feel that. But when you're kind of not really committed, or you're kind of committed enough so that you could look good on paper and check the box, that also comes across to people when you sit with them.
I think multiple turning points for me. Conversation with your mom and dad in Vinny's office. Are you guys just going to be, what did he say? Founders 2,500? And I was like, that's not even a thing. And I didn't want to be that. And I remember you, Tony, at the parking lot at the office. You're like, you guys are too sharp to be talking to some not so sharp people. And the biggest turning point for me is changing my attitude about trying to pursue perfectionism and pursuing true progress for myself, and speaking right, speaking to myself the right way, believing in myself the right way, and believing in this guy, because I used to compare with him all the time. And I used to be like, why aren't you doing this? I would never say that. I would just have that
kind of energy.
Vibe.
Yeah.
And then when I just focus on what I did, because Dana said, when we were going platinum and beyond, I never compared myself to Vin. I just let him do what he needed to do, and I did what I needed to do, and we worked together, and we figured us out. And I love watching him become so convicted and be the light for our family and our business. And I think that's the biggest turning point for us.
That's a big one.
Thanks, Ray. Yeah, us learning to communicate from Vinny and Dana has been a huge turning point. And for me, I would say about 9 months ago, I was being fake positive, which I had a conversation with Vinny, and he candidly told me that no, I was just negative. And to either wake up and make some changes or nothing was gonna change. And that was a turning point where I learned to start living in victory, no matter what the score was, no matter what was happening with other people, what they were doing or weren't doing, to have the attitude that we're going to win and we're going to succeed. And like you said at the very beginning, it makes such a huge difference when people can feel that you believe what you're saying, not that you're just repeating a script or copying what you heard somebody else say, but truly believing it. And that's why we're on fire and we're not stopping.
That's it.
You guys are all doing a great job. A common theme that you'll see with all the new growing platinums and all the new growing pins is that they believe in this 100%. This is all they want to do. They understand that they're going to have to delay their gratification, but at the same time, they're still spending time with friends. They're still making time for each other. You're never going to have a balanced life, especially when you're trying to build something and do something extraordinary. But there is a point of balance that you have with your family. And you're, like I said to you, I said, Brian, you're working hard enough to grow your business. Yeah. Make sure you have time with your wife and with your kids. And I've said that to so many people on the team. And working hard is a good thing. Sitting home and being retired and not doing anything productive, one, it sets a terrible example for your family, for your kids. And number two is I don't believe that that's what God has designed you to do. You see people that just have all this money and they don't have anything to do. They don't have a purpose in their life. They typically end up doing a lot of bad things. And here, what's so great about this is this business, this team, we really are impacting people in a positive way. Mm-hmm. So understand that and understand that you can do it. They're not any different than you, other than they've done a little bit more work and they've just believed a little bit more, which is obviously now kind of when they do meetings, that comes across to people. So you guys are doing a great job. Keep it up. We love you so much. So proud of you. Way to go, guys.
For the calendar year 2025, the average income from Amway for all U.S. registered IBOs at the Founders Platinum level and below was $750 before expenses. See www.amway.com/income-disclosure for details and the most up-to-date information. Earnings depend on many factors, including customer base, business experience, effort, dedication, and quality and performance of the downline sales team.